I am Maggie Thompson. As usual, I was sipping my morning coffee while gazing at the flowers in my garden. Even at 62, this quiet morning time remains the source of my daily energy. Since losing my husband George 3 years ago, I've been living alone in this house, but thanks to my neighbors and church friends, I rarely feel lonely. Suddenly, the phone rang, breaking my peaceful morning ritual. Seeing Lisa's name on the display, I was a bit surprised. It was unusual for Lisa to call. "Mom, good morning." Lisa's voice sounded tired and lacked its usual vigor. "Lisa, what's wrong? Did something happen?" I asked instinctively. Lisa took a deep breath before speaking. "Mom, I have a favor to ask. Could you look after Emily for a few days?" Emily is my 6-year-old granddaughter. She's been diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder, but she's always full of energy and is my precious treasure. However, recently, Lisa's work has become busier, and opportunities to see Emily have decreased. Of course, I'll look after Emily. But why so suddenly? Lisa's voice was trembling. Work project is really tough. I'm chasing deadlines, and lately, our finances have been tight. My heart ached at Lisa's words. It's painful to know my daughter is struggling. I understand. Leave Emily to me. You focus on your work. After hanging up, I was filled with mixed emotions. Joy at the thought of spending time with Emily mingled with worry about Lisa's situation. The last time I saw Emily was 3 months ago. Caring for an autistic granddaughter might not be easy, but I believed I could do it. As I prepared to welcome Emily, I recalled Lisa's words. What did she mean by financial problems? James, Lisa's husband, was supposed to have a stable job. Were they hiding something? I prepared Emily's favorite toys and books, and set up her room. Looking at Emily's smiling face in the photo frame, I renewed my determination. I'll do everything I can for my granddaughter. And I want to understand and help with the problems Lisa is facing. In the evening, Lisa brought Emily over. Lisa looked exhausted and left almost without conversation. As I watched Lisa's retreating back, I felt as if a heavy stone had been placed on my chest. Something is clearly wrong. But now, I need to focus on Emily, who's right in front of me. I took a deep breath and turned to Emily. Well, Emily. Let's have a good time with Grandma. A few hours had passed since Emily's arrival. I was carefully observing my granddaughter's behavior. Emily, who would normally run around the house excitedly upon arrival, was unusually quiet this time. She sat in the corner of the sofa, hugging her knees and refusing to move. Emily, don't you want a snack? Grandma baked your favorite chocolate chip cookies, I gently called out. Emily glanced at me but quickly looked away. Don't want any, she answered in a small voice. I sat down beside Emily and gently placed my hand on her shoulder. She flinched slightly. What's wrong, Emily? Are you feeling unwell? There was no response. I had desperately studied about Emily's autism spectrum disorder over the past few years. I thought I understood her behavior patterns and ways of communication. But Emily's current state was clearly different. This wasn't just a symptom of autism. There must be another problem. I glanced at Emily's arm. There were several small bruises visible. Emily, how did you get these bruises? Emily quickly hid her arm. I fell, she whispered. At that response, my heart started racing. While it's common for young children to fall and get hurt, Emily's reaction was as if she was trying to hide something. Even when dinner time came, Emily's behavior didn't change. She barely touched the macaroni and cheese I made, which was her favorite. Throughout the meal, I continued to observe Emily's actions. She occasionally looked out the window anxiously, as if she wanted to escape from something. Emily, is there anything you want to tell Grandma? I'll listen to anything, I gently asked. Emily shook her head silently. In her eyes, I saw a fear I had never seen before. When bedtime came and I tried to take Emily to bed, she suddenly started crying as if panicking. No. I don't want to sleep. I hugged Emily and rubbed her back. It's okay, Emily. Grandma's here. There's nothing to be afraid of. Emily was trembling in my arms. Eventually, she fell asleep from exhaustion, but her expression was far from peaceful. As I watched Emily's sleeping face, various thoughts raced through my mind. The change in my granddaughter was evident. But I still couldn't figure out what was causing it. Were Lisa and James taking proper care of Emily? Or was there a more serious problem hidden? Tomorrow, I'll observe Emily more closely. And if necessary, I'll ask Lisa directly. For Emily's safety and happiness, I must uncover the truth at all costs. As I lay in bed, I continued to think about Emily. Tomorrow will surely bring more answers. Believing this, I spent an anxious night. 3 days had passed since Emily came to my house. Her demeanor seemed to have calmed down a bit, but I still couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. On this day, I decided to take Emily to the park. Perhaps some fresh air would lift her spirits a little. Emily, let's go to the park today. Do you want to play on the swings? I called out, and Emily nodded. Feeling a bit relieved at her response, we headed to the park. At the park, Emily sat quietly on the swing. Seeing Emily alone, swinging silently while other children ran around energetically, my heart tightened. Emily, are you having fun? I asked, and she answered with a small yes. Her voice lacked energy, and my worry only deepened. When we got home, Emily said, I'll rest a bit, and headed upstairs to her room. While preparing dinner, I kept an eye on the second floor from time to time. Suddenly, I heard a noise. I rushed upstairs instantly. Emily. I called out as I opened the door to her room, and a shocking sight greeted me. Emily was standing on the balcony railing, looking outside. My heart nearly stopped. Emily. What are you doing? That's dangerous. I quickly approached Emily and hugged her. Emily's small body was trembling. At that moment, I noticed bruises on Emily's arm. Emily, how did you get these bruises? I asked with a shaking voice. Emily answered, crying, "Mom and Dad, they say I'm in the way, they tell me to disappear. Because I'm a bad child." At those words, my world shook. Emily's face showed a deep sadness and fear I had never seen before. Looking closely, I could see faint bruises on her cheeks as well. I hugged Emily even tighter. "Emily, you are never a bad child. Grandma will definitely protect you." Emily continued in a small voice, trembling in my arms. "When Dad gets angry, he hits me. Mom pretends not to see." I gasped. The reality that my granddaughter was being abused felt like it was tearing my heart apart. I can't believe Lisa and James would hurt Emily. But Emily's words and actions were clear. Looking out the window, I steeled my resolve. Whatever the truth may be, I must protect Emily. Even if it means jeopardizing my relationship with my own daughter. The next morning, I was up early. I hadn't been able to sleep all night, thinking about Emily. While drinking coffee, I was debating whether I should call Lisa. Eventually, I mustered up the courage and made the call. "Hello, Lisa." "Mom, what is it?" So early in the morning, Lisa's voice sounded tired and irritated. "Lisa, I need to talk to you about Emily." I chose my words carefully. "Emily's been acting strange lately." "Is there some problem at home?" Lisa fell silent for a moment. "What do you mean?" "Emily is fine. She's just been a bit demanding lately. But Emily has injuries on her body. And yesterday." I tried to talk about yesterday's incident, but Lisa interrupted me. "Mom, we're taking good care of Emily. You don't need to worry." Lisa's voice was cold. "But, Lisa." "I'm sorry, Mom. I'm very busy right now. I'll call you back later." Lisa hung up unilaterally. I stared at the receiver in disbelief. After that, I tried calling James too, but he also avoided the conversation, citing "busy with work" as an excuse. I let out a deep sigh. Lisa and James' attitudes only increased my anxiety. Are they hiding something? Or am I overthinking? When Emily woke up, I smiled at her gently. "Good morning, Emily. What would you like for breakfast?" Emily answered in a small voice, "Pancakes." Her voice didn't have the same sense of despair as yesterday. Feeling a bit relieved, I started making pancakes. While eating breakfast, I stared intently at Emily. Her small hands, her arms covered in bruises, and her sad eyes. I didn't want to believe that my daughter was hurting this sweet child. But if it was true... "Emily, you know, Grandma loves you very much. No matter what happens, Grandma is on your side, okay?" Emily nodded slightly. At that moment, my resolve was set. Even if it meant confronting Lisa and James, I would protect Emily. That's my responsibility as a grandmother. After breakfast, I called a lawyer for consultation. I sought advice on what procedures to follow in case of suspected abuse. After hanging up, I hugged Emily. "It's okay, Emily. Grandma will definitely protect you." Emily's small body clung to me. At that moment, I was certain that my decision was right. The road ahead might be rough, but for the sake of bringing back Emily's smile, I'll overcome any difficulty. Having firmly decided to protect Emily, I set out to investigate Lisa and James's life in detail. While I hesitated to intrude into my daughter's married life, I convinced myself it was necessary for Emily's safety. First, I called Lisa's workplace. Pretending to be Lisa's colleague, I tried to find out about her recent situation. "Yes, Lisa seems very tired lately. Her overtime has increased, and I hear the pressure from her boss is considerable," the colleague said worriedly. This information pained me. I knew Lisa was under stress, but I didn't realize it was this bad. Next, I made a similar inquiry to James's company. Surprisingly, an unexpected fact came to light. James? He was laid off 3 months ago, due to the company's financial difficulties. I was taken aback. James had lost his job. Neither Lisa nor James had told me about this. Further investigation revealed that the couple was struggling to pay their mortgage. Financial difficulties were pushing them to the edge. I also gathered information about Emily's disability. A member of a local support group told me that Lisa and James were struggling to cover the costs of Emily's treatment and education. Those two were also suffering from pressure from others, being blamed for Emily's slow progress. The support group member sighed. As I gathered this information, my heart filled with complex emotions. While I could understand Lisa and James's struggles, it didn't justify abusing Emily. Returning home, I gazed at Emily's sleeping face, reflecting on my own past parenting. I remembered being caught up in work and not giving enough time to Lisa when raising her. That regret still weighs heavily on my heart. I wasn't a perfect mother either, I murmured, gently stroking Emily's cheek. However, it's because of past failures that we must make different choices now. I renewed my determination to do everything I could to protect Emily. The next morning, I called Lisa again. This time, I intended to ask more probing questions based on the information I had gathered. "Lisa, James, I need to talk to you about Emily." I carefully chose my words. "She's changed a lot since she started music." On the other end of the phone, Lisa let out a small sigh. "Mom, we don't have the luxury for that. James is." "I know he's unemployed," I said quietly. After a moment of silence, James's voice came through. "How do you know that?" I investigated. "James, why did you keep quiet about it?" James began explaining painfully. After losing his job, he had desperately tried to find new employment but failed. His pride prevented him from consulting anyone. Meanwhile, he had been working night shifts at a gas station to support the family. "But that's no excuse for abusing Emily," I said sternly. Lisa burst into tears. "We know, but what should we do?" "First, come and see Emily. I want you to see how she's changed." At first, the couple hesitated. But as I elaborated on Emily's growth, their attitude gradually softened. "All right. We'll come tomorrow," Lisa finally said. The next day, when Lisa and James arrived, Emily was just playing the piano. The two watched Emily's performance with expressions of surprise and emotion. When the performance ended, Emily looked at her parents fearfully. Lisa hugged Emily, tears streaming down her face. "I'm sorry, Emily. Mommy and Daddy were wrong." James also approached Emily and gently stroked her head. "Daddy's really sorry too." At that moment, a small light of hope was lit within the family. The road ahead might still be long. But from this moment on, I believed we could move forward together. Witnessing Emily's transformation, Lisa and James finally resolved to face their own problems. The couple began visiting a professional counselor and attending regular sessions. I, too, decided to play my part in reconciling the family. One day, I invited Lisa and James to my home for a serious discussion. "Lisa, James, I have something to apologize for as well," I began quietly. The two looked at me with surprised expressions. I wasn't a perfect mother either. "Lisa, when you were little, I was caught up in work and couldn't give you enough time. That might be influencing your parenting now." Tears welled up in Lisa's eyes. "Mom. But because of past failures, we must make different choices now. For Emily's sake, let's all work together." James nodded quietly. I was also turning away from my own weaknesses. After losing my job, I was frustrated that I couldn't provide for my family, and I took it out on Emily. "I'm truly sorry." We acknowledged our respective mistakes and had a serious discussion about how to move forward as a family. We sought concrete solutions for issues like Emily's treatment and education costs, James's reemployment, and reducing Lisa's work stress. Amidst all this, the day of Emily's music school recital was approaching. Emily practiced diligently every day, and her determination gave us adults courage and hope. On the day of the recital, our entire family headed to the venue. When Emily took the stage, the venue fell silent. The moment Emily's small fingers touched the piano keys, a beautiful melody filled the hall. Her performance seemed to convey her past sufferings, sorrows, and new hope. When the performance ended, the venue erupted in applause. Emily ran to us with a beaming smile. "You were amazing, Emily." Lisa hugged her daughter, tears streaming down her face. James also stroked Emily's head with a proud expression. "Daddy's daughter is a genius." At that moment, I felt the family bonds slowly healing. It might not be perfect yet, but we're definitely moving forward. After the recital, we went out for a family meal. Gathered around the table, we happily discussed Emily's future dreams and things we'd like to do as a family. "I've got a new job starting next week," James said, looking a bit embarrassed. "Really? That's wonderful." I was genuinely delighted. Lisa also smiled happily. "I've talked with my boss and arranged to reduce my overtime." Emily smiled happily, looking back and forth between her parents' faces. On the way home after dinner, Emily squeezed my hand. Grandma, thank you." At those words, tears welled up in my eyes. I felt that all our efforts had paid off. Rebuilding family bonds isn't easy. But seeing Emily's smile gives me hope for the future. I believe we can overcome this together. 6 months have passed since then. By the window where gentle autumn sunlight streams in, I gaze at our family photo. It shows Lisa, James, and Emily smiling and huddling together, a stark contrast to before. Emily now attends music school twice a week. The pieces she plays are becoming more challenging by the day, but Emily's eyes are always shining. Music has become an important means for her to express her feelings. Lisa and James are also working hard to fulfill their responsibilities as parents. James has settled into his new job, and the household finances are gradually stabilizing. Lisa has also found a balance between work and family, cherishing her time with Emily. I look out the window. Emily is playing with her parents in the garden. Her laughter carries on the wind. I feel a quiet pride in my decision and courage to protect my granddaughter. At the same time, I feel the responsibility to continue watching over my family. Our family bonds have grown stronger after overcoming this trial. We may not be perfect yet, but we are definitely moving forward. As I think about Emily's bright future, my heart fills with hope. This is not the end, but a new beginning for our family.